Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel RN Tutorial Zone, and our today's playlist is Java Programming Language. This is part 2 as concerned. I've covered all the fundamentals of Java in my first video, you can refer that. And our today's concept is package and exceptions in Java. So let's not wait, let's get into the topic. So what are the outcomes get covered in this session? So you will get to know what are packages in Java and its types and how to create and access them. I'll let you know terms related to hiding class and wrapper class and auto boxing and unboxing. So I'll explain you in brief about exceptions and how to handle them in Java using try, catch and throw blocks. So here we go. What are packages in Java? Packages are nothing but it is a collection of similar types of classes and interfaces together into a unit. So it helps us organize the class into a structure and make it easy to locate and use them again and again and again. So programmers may need same classes again and again to use. So this package helps them in this regard. As we all know, packages are divided into two types, namely API packages, user defined packages. So API packages is nothing but they are system defined, which comes inbuilt. So whereas the other one, user defined package, which were created by users themselves. So what are the different types of system defined packages we have? So there are java.util packages, java.language packages, java.applet packages, java.input-output packages, java.net packages. So they have different kind of functionalities. I'll let you know. So how to create and access packages? So here is the syntax and example. You could see nothing but just use keyword package, thereafter give your package name. Like I use package name as trees. So package trees, thereafter define class, public class bonsai. Bonsai is nothing but smaller tree. So here is the example for packages. Now firstly, what are Java API packages? So Java API provides a large number of classes grouped into different packages according to their functionality. We had seen Java utility functions, Java language functions, Java input-output functions. So they all are API packages. So most of time we use packages available with the Java API. So most of the programmers use Java API packages. So they help them. So here we go. We have java.language supported classes. So these classes the Java compiler itself uses, and therefore they are automatically imported. So here we need not to import them especially. So they import them themselves automatically. So we need not to do this. So this comes under fundamental programming in Java. So we need not to import this. Next, coming to java.utility classes. So it comes under mathematical computations. So if a programmer belongs to mathematical field, he uses vectors, hash tables and many functions on numbers. So he uses java.utility language package. So whereas coming to java.input-output support classes, they provide facilities for input-output of data. So this is another kind of package. Whereas coming to java.awt, AWT stands for Abstract Windows Toolkit. So these are used for GUI based applications like our normal WhatsApp or PUBG, whatever you can see. They all are GUI based, I mean graphical user interface based. So we use this java.awt to implement applications. Thereafter java.net packages. This includes classes for communicating with local computers as well as internet servers. So this is used in computer networking. Whereas coming to the last one, java.applet classes. So these are used to create and implement applets. I'll let you know what are applets in my third video. So how to access classes in Java package? Just use import your package name, thereafter dot class name, or else you can use import package name dot asterisk. So what are the difference between these two syntaxes? Nothing but if you use import package name dot class name, so you could access the only class which was defined by you. Whereas coming to the case 2, import package name dot asterisk, so this access the total package, so it includes all the classes in that package. So that's the main difference. So if you want to access a specific class in a package, you can use case 1. If you want to access all the classes in the package, you can use case 2. Is the example import java.awt.color. So we are accessing color class in awt package, whereas second example, import java.awt. This stands for all the class to access all the classes of awt package. I hope you I clear this. So whereas coming to the second one, user defined packages. So as we all know, user defined itself tells us these packages are created by us according to our requirement. So I need not to explain more about this, but I'll tell you how to create user defined packages. Nothing but just give package and your package name. Thereafter declare your package using this syntax. Thereafter give your class declaration. So like in inheritance, we have package hierarchy also. Nothing but accessing one package with the existed package. Like we are using package first package dot second package. So here second first package accessing second package. So using this we can inherit some data from other package. So coming to hiding classes, so if you want to hide some class from others, you just need to specify it is not public. So I'll let you read. So classes that are declared as public can be accessed using asterisk while we importing packages. So I think I made clear. So here many a times we are using import package name, thereafter dot asterisk. Why we use asterisk means it helps us accessing public classes. So if we don't use asterisk at the end, it doesn't access public classes. So but few classes which are not declared as public can't be accessed. So these classes can be used by other classes inside the package. So the classes which are not declared as public, they can't be accessed by outer package or outer classes. They can be accessed within the package. So these hidden classes can't be accessed by other packages classes. So here's the example. We could see package p1 is a package name, thereafter public class x. So here we are defining class x as public, thereafter class y, the second class, which is not public. We didn't mention public, so that's why the class y can't be accessed by other classes of other packages, but it can be accessed by class x as they belongs to same package. So coming to wrapper classes. So wrapper classes refers to converting primitive data types into object data types. Primitive data types are nothing but int, char, or float or byte, all your data types. So here converting int to integer or char to character, this comes under wrapper classes. This is known as wrapper classes. So the process of converting primitive data types to object types, we call this autoboxing, whereas coming to unboxing, it quite opposite to autoboxing. So converting wrapper classes back to primitive data types is known as unboxing. So autoboxing is automatic, whereas coming to we just need to do unboxing manually. So here is a sample program for converting primitive types of wrapper class. You could see. Whereas this is example for unboxing. So you could see how to convert wrapper class to primitive types. You can pause the video and see, or you can copy. So coming to exceptions. So what are exceptions? To know about exception, we firstly need to know about errors in programming. So error may produce an incorrect output or may terminate the execution of the program abruptly, or even may cause the system to crash. So as we all know, as a programmer, as we all know, errors are nothing but it doesn't allow us to execute our program. So it might be our incorrect execution. So errors can be two types, preferably compile time errors, runtime errors. You could see the tree. So what are compile time errors? So all syntax errors will be detected and displayed by the Java compiler. Therefore these errors are known as compile time errors. So before saving the source file, we could see our errors in compile time errors. Those are like forgetting semicolon, all this comes under compile time errors. So the Java, if you're using IDE tools like NetBeans or Eclipse, they'll let us know where the compile time error occurs while we are doing only. So here you could see the example. So here you could see I use var x, so I can't use variable here, that's why it shows us compiler error while we using only. We might not save our source file, even though it tells us while we executing only, it tells us it was error. So this kind of errors are known as compile time errors. So you could see sample program for that. So class error1 public static void PSV main, thereafter system.out.println hello world. I forgot semicolon after to that, that's why it's showing missing semicolon. This comes under compile time errors. Now runtime errors. So this is the main part we need, or exceptions comes in this. So sometimes a program may compile successfully creating the .class file but may not run properly. Such programs may produce wrong results due to wrong logic or may terminate due to errors such as stack overflow. So here we could see the sample program. So PSVM, so I declared variables a equals to 10, b equals to 5, c equals to 5. Thereafter I wanted to apply one logic int x equals to a divided by b minus c, but if you are doing 10 divided by 5 minus 5, which can be 10 divided by 0, we can't do this kind of computations. So this comes under number format exceptions. So these runtime errors are nothing but exceptions. So may the program is good, it worked well, but some part of area results in our program to be terminated. So what are exceptions in Java? So an exception is a condition that is caused by runtime error in the program. When the Java interpreter encounters an error such as dividing an integer, we just saw, so it creates an exception object and throws, so informing us. So if the exception object is not caught and handled properly, the interpreter will display an error message as shown in the output of programming, will terminate the program. So if we are not able to handle the exception well, it tells us to terminate the program. So this is why we need exception handling in Java. So I think you all got to know what is exception. Exception is nothing but it is a runtime error. So how to handle exceptions in Java? Nothing but we need to take 4 steps. Preferably you should halt the exception. Halt is nothing but you need to find the problem, where it was occurred. Thereafter you have to throw the exception, nothing but inform that error has occurred. Thereafter you have to do catch the exception, nothing but receive the error information. Thereafter take corrective actions, so nothing but handling the exception. So the error handling code basically consists of 2 segments, one to detect errors, so which can comes under try block, whereas and to throw exception, and the other to catch exception and to take appropriate action. So this needs 3 blocks, preferably try, throw, catch. So here you could see these exceptions again divided into two types, preferably checked exceptions, unchecked exceptions. So these exceptions are explicitly handled in the code itself with the help of try catch blocks. So checked exceptions are extended from the java.lang.exception class whereas coming to unchecked exceptions, these exceptions are not essentially handled in the program code. Instead, the JVM handles such an exceptions. So unchecked exceptions are extended from java.lang.runtime exception class. So it is important to note that checked and unchecked exceptions are absolutely similar as far as their functionality is concerned. The difference lies only in the way they are handled. So checked exceptions can be handled through code and try catch blocks. We gonna do this, whereas coming to unchecked exceptions, this can be handled by JVM automatically, so the programmer need not to worry about that. Both are same the kind of occurrence, whereas coming to the way we handle them is different. So here you could see exceptions, so they got divided into checked exceptions and unchecked exceptions. So we have 2 examples for checked exceptions, so class not found or input output exceptions. Whereas coming to unchecked exceptions, we just saw division by 0 example, so this comes under number format checked exceptions, unchecked exceptions. Thereafter array index out of bound, so if your array is out of bound, this comes under unchecked exceptions. Whereas arithmetic, so like mathematical computations like subtraction, addition, multiplication, divisions, all this comes under unchecked exceptions. So here we go, how to handle exceptions. So we have 5 kind of things to do. Firstly, try block, catch blocks, throw block, through keyword, throughs keyword, finally keyword. I'll let you know what are the importance of these in handling exceptions. Firstly, so what about try block? So inside the try we will code which throws an exception. Try should expect finally to complete in absence of catch blocks, nothing but. So try will find wherever the error occurred. Next, it wishes for finally keyword to complete in the absence of catch block. So finally is used for specific block to executed, so it doesn't interrupt all the program, it get executed preferably part of area of the program. Whereas coming to catch block, once an exception is raised by try blocks, after it is coming from try block, it catches the problem, so that raised exception should be handled inside the catch block. Mostly these exceptions are handled in catch block. Thereafter, why we use throw keyword? So if programmer want to throw an exception explicitly, so we use throw keyword. Whereas coming to throughs keyword, so we use throughs keyword to define checked exceptions, so which were handled by us, not in the case of JVM. So what's the use of finally keyword or finally block? Whether an exception is occurred or not, but the code inside finally block will always executed. So if you define a part of code, part of program as a finally block, it should get executed however, whatever it takes. That's the reason tries to execute the program using finally block. So here's the syntax for a try catch throw program. You could see we need to specify keyword try, thereafter you have to give statements regarding the try block, thereafter you have to mention catch, so you have to mention exception type, whether it if it is number format exception, you should mention that. If it is arithmetic exception, you should mention that. If it is array out of bound, you should mention that. Next to that, we have a sample program on try catch block, you could see. Please make a note, pause the video. So here I took a number format example. So thank you for watching. I hope you made this clear session. Please do subscribe and like and share.